So, Evercade. Let's talk about Evercade. Yeah, there's one slight problem at the moment. This video's not in stock at the moment. It came out a week ago, but it's gone out of stock. So, what we've got to do now is wait about 3 months, and then we can come back and start this video. So, we'll be back. Right, I know I said we'd be back in 3 months, but there's been a delay to this video. There's a delay in the production, so it's going to be a couple more weeks yet. Then the video will be out. Right, we'll be back in a minute. Right, Evercade. That was just kind of my way of showing my introduction to this ecosystem. I first heard about Evercade quite a while ago. I think I saw it in a window in the local CEX, like second-hand electronics place. Didn't really pay too much attention to it, to be honest. I knew it was a thing. I didn't really look into it to see what type of thing it was. I knew it was retro games. But then one day I heard that they were producing this. This is Blaze, who make the Evercade, have remade the old DOS games that were Duke Nukem 1 and 2. Just two-dimensional DOS games. Look a bit like that. They've got a license for it. They've produced it. They've worked with whoever it is, 3D Realms or whoever they are, and they've reproduced Duke Nukem 1 and 2 for a modern TV, so widescreen. You know, the graphics look retro, but they look nice on your TV, and you also get Duke Nukem 3D. So when I first heard about this, I was interested, because obviously I've played this one, Duke Nukem 3D, but I was never really in on the DOS game scene for 1 and 2. So when I heard that was out, I started looking into Evercade. This is where the problems started beginning, really, because at this point this had just been released, but everywhere I looked, not in stock anywhere. There was a second Duke Nukem cartridge which was some PlayStation games that weren't really of much interest, but this one not in stock anywhere. It took about 4 months for me to find this in stock somewhere, and I ended up buying this and another cartridge before I even had a controller, any type of, well, a console. So 4 months pass, I buy that, and then I need something to play it on. Now Evercade is a ecosystem where you get a handheld like that. This is not the original model, this is like the revised, newer model, although it's since been updated again. This is the Evercade EXP. It's a handheld device. You put a cartridge in and you can play it. You can save the games back to the cartridges, save your progress. Yeah, so that's one part of it. And the other part is this, Versus. And that's got 2 cartridge slots, 4 controller ports, and it looks sort of like that. This is the newer version which came out last October. Right, so that's the idea. The idea of this basically is you play the game on this, and then you want to go somewhere else. You save your progress, you pop the cart out, you stick it in that, and then you carry on. And you can go vice versa. Play on the big telly, play on the small telly. The same cartridge. That's the idea anyway. The problem with Evercade, it does have a bit of an odd licensing sort of licensing rules. They've produced a Namco cartridge, a couple I think, but you were allowed to play on this, but you weren't allowed to play it on the Versus on your telly, because they only had the license for a handheld, not for the one that plugs into your TV, even though it's supposed to be this ecosystem where you can have your car on mobile or on your TV, save your progress. That's the whole idea of it. But yeah, that's just one of the weird licensing things that happens with Evercade. The other issue with Evecade, as I mentioned at the start of this video, is just stock. The stock levels, it can be very difficult to get your hands on a new cartridge if you don't pre-order it. It can be very difficult to get your hand on an actual console. This Versus was originally what I wanted to get when I first started looking into the Evercade. It seemed like the device that gets more firmware updates. They put a game of the month on there. But you just couldn't buy it new. It took me a full year to actually get my hands on this one, and this was when they relaunched it with Tomb Raider. A full year for me to actually get one new, not having to buy one on eBay at some massive overpriced amount. If I wanted a nice new one that never been touched, never been abused, it took me a year before they were in stock. And I think they may even been delayed from the date that they were supposed to come out then. So that's that one. What I ended up buying was this one second hand, again because by the time the cartridge I wanted was out, I couldn't get my hands on the Evercade, so I had to buy it second hand from an online electronics shop, and it turned up in decent condition. The only slight complaint I've got about this is occasionally the screen doesn't turn on, so you have to turn it off and back on again, but I think firmware updates might have sorted that out. Yeah, so I had to buy this second hand just to be able to play this game, one of their new games that had only just come out. The other stock related issue that you get with Evercade, I can explain with this. This is the Codemasters cartridge. I think this might even have been the one I bought with Duke Nukem. I'd have to check. But I think this was probably the second cartridge I ever had. I bought this again before I actually had the Evercade, so it was waiting for me when the Evercade turned up. And I paid about £18 for it, the normal price for it. But one thing you might not know about Evercade is there's something called legacy cartridges. And what that means is Evercade have essentially got quite a short licensing window for some of these cartridges. It's either a short window or maybe the publishers want more money the second time round. I think retro gaming is becoming a bit like the music industry, where they just want to keep selling licenses for things over and over again. But basically, the week this turned up, the week I bought it, this one stopped being produced. It became a legacy cartridge. So before I'd even unwrapped this, it was actually worth a lot more. I started looking on eBay because once I knew what legacy cartridges were, and I had this sealed for a while because I was playing the Duke Nukem cartridge when I first got the Evercade anyway. But I kept this sealed for a good while, so I'm thinking, well, the prices on this is shooting up now. I mean, when a cartridge first becomes legacy, it immediately goes out of stock because people just rush to buy it. But a lot of those people then stick it on eBay for inflated prices. Yeah, this is a problem with Evercade. They don't keep the licenses for a lot of the cartridges for very long. You'll go on their website and they'll be talking about all these products they've got, showing all the thumbnails and graphics, but some of the games and cartridges you just cannot buy anymore. This isn't the only one. There's a Technos one that's shot up in value. There's plenty. If you look on their website, you will see legacy. These are all cartridges that you cannot buy anymore. It's not like this is a 15-year-old, 20-year-old ecosystem. And the thing that annoys me about this sort of thing as well, right, look at the games on this. Right, people like me were willing to pay for these games. These are, I think they're the Mega Drive versions. Who else out there in this world is spending money on sensible soccer, cannon fodder, super skid marks, what's supposed to be like the worst tennis game ever, and just some really basic platformers. Who else is spending money on this sort of thing other than people that buy Evercade? But they were only able to obtain a relatively short-term license to produce these. The other issue with Evercade is that they are designed to be collectible. They are numbered. So that kind of encourages collectors who don't even play them to rush out and buy every cartridge just so they can have every number, because one day they might be worth money. There'll be games that they'll have no interest in playing whatsoever, but because it says 3, 5, 6, it creates a collectible item. In anything collectible retro, the price just shoots up. And obviously some of these you can't buy anymore, so you can't have a complete collection if you are a collector, unless you're prepared to pay over the odds from all the price gouges on eBay. I mean, that is just a few there, but there'll be so many holes in this collection now because you cannot buy all the cartridges anymore. There's a few there. So that's Home Computer Heroes. Then we've got these are the multi-game cartridges. As you can see, they're all numbered. 33, 39, 40, 41. Oh, I haven't got 34, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Maybe I should rush out and buy them to complete the collection. But you probably can't. Even the cartridges that are not legacy are just not available to buy anywhere but eBay or second-hand dealers for months. They don't get restocked very often. It's generally, once it goes out of stock, you've got like a 3-month delay. It's quite frustrating trying to actually get into Evercade when the products, because it is a physical product, they just aren't there. You can't get your hands on them. But then you can see them on eBay. They're just out of reach because you don't want to pay the price that people are charging for them, because you know they're just taking the mick because they know it's an out of stock item. You can get quite a collection though. You know, there's mine. And there's some more. And they've also got ones like that. But they're all numbered to encourage people to collect them. They're encouraging people that don't even want to play the games, that don't see their favourites on there. They're encouraging people to buy them just to put them on the shelf and say they've got it, or just to hoard it so that they can collect it and make money off it one day, you know, cash out. Alright, so this is what an Evercade cartridge looks like. Actually, not that one. I don't think we need another video on the internet with those robots on. There's enough of them already. So this is an Evercade cartridge. You get a case, smaller than a DVD case. Nice artwork. You get the cartridge. They print the name on the back of it. It looks like that. And the cartridge, the board's in there. And you generally get a manual, some sort of printed. Sometimes you get a poster. It's just like instructions and just a little keepsake, I guess. Just something to look at if the cartridge dies. Yeah, so that is kind of what you get. You get that, basically that. Or you might get a poster. Double-sided poster. Quite nice. it is a nice little package to have if there's a particular publisher you like and you like the games, because you don't get this sort of thing really anymore. You don't get a manual, you don't even get anything in a box anymore. They don't even want you to have a box in modern games. They want you to do it all digital. So it is quite nice with the physical product, I guess. So that's what it looks like. Evercade does actually have a really broad range of games that anyone looking for retro games would probably find something they like. That is one good thing about Evercade. I don't want to be just completely slagging it off, because it is a decent ecosystem. It just has problems. So these are like pretty much PlayStation 1 games to a degree, or Zool might be an Amiga one, or it might be the Mega Drive one. I think they tend to put console games on these rather than computer versions, because I guess they were designed to work with the controller, so you don't need to worry about needing a keyboard or them having to remap it. So you get a collection like that. You can get this sort of thing. This actually came with, I think, the first N64 game, Glover, the first N64 game on the console. I mean, I doubt you're going to get GoNigh on this because of licensing, but you might get the odd one where the independent developers are okay with the licensing. Glover was actually one of the reasons why I wanted the VS, because it worked with analog controllers. It doesn't come with an analog controller, but certain games do support it. And you can get things like Tomb Raider collections, which you're kind of getting released on the modern consoles now, where they remake them, but these are actually the old PlayStation versions. So 1, 2 and 3 on one cart, and that was actually quite good value. I have spent quite a lot of time on Tomb Raider 1. I haven't finished it, but yeah, I'm sure I'll come back to those. So yeah, they can be good value, and you do get some decent games on there. And then it's more like this. Again, Soul Reaver, PlayStation game. I'm guessing Legacy of Kain probably was as well. These are sort of the ones that would probably work better on your TV. I found with Tomb Raider, because it's the older graphics, a big TV almost seemed too big for the graphics because it looked a bit pixely, but the small screen, I found it difficult to try and find switches or try and activate things. So I think with Evercade, your experience might vary depending on the game you have and your TV, or what you're playing it on. You got Commodore 64 cartridges. I didn't really rate the other two that they've done for this, but this came with this had Paradroid on it, and the original Paradroid, heavy metal Paradroid as they call it on this, Exelon, plus it's got Deliverance Stormlord 2, and I actually know somebody involved in the development of that game. His name's on the credits on it, so I keep reminding him that his own games are out there. And I think it annoys him a little bit because he's out of the industry now. And when I mentioned to him that I got this, what he said to me was, "It's not like music now, I don't keep getting royalties every time they re-release it." I think he was actually a bit annoyed, because although retro gaming is becoming like the music industry, where they're trying to just charge you over and over again for these retro games. Yeah, the developers for these old games don't get anything for it. I've mentioned this sort of thing before in a couple of other videos, but one thing with Evercade, it's a cartridge-based system. You can save your games back to the cartridge, which is good. It means you can save your game on one handheld and then plug it into the Versys and carry on literally where you left off. Yeah, you get the manual telling you how to play everything. Some games are more complex, so some games you need it. But these cartridges can fail. One day you can just pop it in and it just won't work anymore. I'd heard about this before I got into Evercade. I wasn't too concerned because you see people saying, "Oh, it's just a rumour, it's 1 in 1,000 or something like that." This was one of my most used carts. This was one I'd pop in and just go to bed, put the telly on, and have a quick go on something on this, the bowling or something, or Alien Breed. One night over Christmas, I popped it in, got myself comfortable, and the cart wasn't recognised in the EXP. Turned it off, back on again, wasn't recognised. Put it in the verses, wasn't recognised. I got my first failure, my first cartridge failure. I've had this one at the time about 6 months. I started looking up online with people who'd had failures as well, and they said you could put a bit of card in under the cart to make contacts connect. In the end, I thought it doesn't cost much. They're like 17 quid. I'm just going to take this one apart and see what's inside it. And that was that. And that's when I saw a bit of a scorch, or maybe it's glue, I don't know. Maybe that's why it died. But these cartridges, they can just stop working, which makes you a little bit nervous to buy them, especially now they're doing more expensive cartridges. And it also makes you concerned when you have one of these. This is a legacy cartridge. It's just going up in value now. Since Christmas, I haven't put this in my console at all. It almost makes you think, well, it could die one day. And I do like Sensible Soccer. I've played that quite a lot on this. Probably that's the main reason I bought it. But this is, it's like a fragile, valuable relic now. It's like a Fabergé egg or something. And it's a legacy cartridge. You can't buy it anymore other than eBay. And it could just die randomly. Which means that I would never buy a second-hand Evercade cartridge, never. Even if it works when you first get it, you don't know how many times it's been saved over. You don't know anything about it, basically. You don't know if one day it will just pop and that'll be it. So, Evercade, let's look at the hardware. This is the EXP. So you've got your D-pad, you've got your buttons, which are kind of like an Xbox game layout. Xbox game controller layout even. You've actually got a button there with a T on it. That puts it in Tate mode, which basically means you can use it that way for like vertical shooters, and then you've got the duplicated AB button there. So we launch, let's launch 1942, be nice and easy to do. Right, so you can see the screen's that way, and we push this button, and now it's that way. So now we use these controls, and it's as easy as that. It is quite hard holding it like that though, but they do make a kind of like an add-on which you can clip on here, which does make it a lot easier. But that's what that Tate button does. It just swaps the screen around just like that. Headphone socket, and you've got your volume buttons there, and up here you have a mini HDMI or micro HDMI, one or the other, and obviously the cartridge slot, and your speakers down there. So that is the Evercade EXP. This is like the second generation handheld, and this comes preloaded with some games. This is essentially comes preloaded with Capcom games, and this is another issue with Evercade. Let's turn it on. Let's turn it on. Right, so we're turning it on. Hopefully the screen will come on. Sometimes the screen doesn't come on this one for me. But sometimes Most of the time it does now. I think it was probably maybe a firmware issue that eventually got fixed. But here we go. Right, that should be showing an animation, and it's not. Right, so I think that you should get quite a nice little plays animation. You don't always get it with this. Right, so we're on, and you get the soothing music. We'll be showing the cartridge. So if we go into EXP, this shows me what's on it. So this version comes preloaded with Capcom games. 1942. These are all, I think they're all arcade games, the arcade version. So you actually have to like push a button to insert a coin. You've got Street Fighter, probably one of the big draws for this. Mercs, Mega Man. I think some of those might be Nintendo games, possibly. NES or maybe Master System. Ghosts and Goblins. So it comes with all these anyway. And then you get the Game of the Month. This was the reason why I went for the EXP, not the older one, because the older one doesn't get Game of the Month because it hasn't got the storage space for it. Basically, they tend to release a Game of the Month. It's not every month, but I think they do indie game collections, and they put one out a month, and then towards the end of the year they release it as a cartridge. So you get the full game until you update your firmware, and then it gets replaced with another one. So that was a nice little bonus you get with it. So there's no cartridges in at all yet, and I've got these games. You also get hidden games. These are ones where you need to know how to unlock them. It's like certain button combination pushes, or you can, I think if you've got certain two of the right cartridge, certain games appear and that sort of thing. But it's quite easy to unlock these. You could just look it up online and you'll find it really easily, really quickly. Some of these are quite good, like Gribbly's Day Out. Some are just a bit crap, to be honest, but it's a nice something. It's a nice something to have. Yeah. But the issue with this, another Evercade feature with games availability, these Capcom games, you cannot get a cartridge for these. So you can only play these games on the handheld. There is a new Evercade out now which comes with a TV where it comes with a screen where you get a bigger screen and joysticks. It's like a mini arcade, but basically you can't play Street Fighter on one of these. This system that's designed to have this interoperability between the cartridges. You can't take the cartridge out of that and put it in here because they're built into it. So it would be a bit difficult to explain this to a friend who would come around and see this and ask what it is. And you explain it's a handheld retro games thing, and then they'll go, "Oh, what's it got on it?" And they'll see it's got Street Fighter. Oh wow, let's have a go and all that. Then they ask if we can do a 2-player on the TV, because you explain to them how it works. You know, you've got the handheld and you've got the versus. Let's have a 2-player match. Yeah, you can't really do that because although the games are on here, you can't play them on there because they're built into this. But can't you get a cartridge? No, you can't get a cartridge for Street Fighter or any of the Capcom ones because they don't want cartridges, even though it's a system built for cartridges. So that's a bit of an issue. It's this weird licensing thing that Evecade allow themselves to be involved with, which contradicts the ecosystem in general. So games like this are basically a solitary affair. Although some of them were 2-player, you can't play them 2-player. Or some might let you possibly using the D-pad and the other buttons, but they're not going to be much. So that's another issue. I mean, it is actually a decent unit, you know. You can play the games absolutely fine. You've got your shoulder buttons. Yeah. You can't complain about it particularly like that, but it's just, it contradicts itself, this ecosystem, basically. Because you're supposed to be able to use the handheld and that, the Versus, plug it into your telly, and you can't. There's another slight issue I find with this. This is USB-C. Right, that's USB-C. This Versus, which came out after the EXP, this version of the Versus, it doesn't use USB-C. In fact, it didn't even come with an HDMI lead, this. All I got was the console in a box, and a USB lead and a controller. Right, next problem with this. Do you see down there, I have a little gear icon for my settings and a little dot. That dot is telling me that there's a firmware update for this. So let's update the firmware, shall we? And just to be safe, I'll plug the controller in, or plug the console in, just in case it's low on battery. It's not, but just so we can see this isn't the problem. So let me just plug this in. Right, we have power. We're charging. We need to do a firmware update. This is a unit I've updated the firmware on multiple times over the course of the last year. Same internet, same router. So that's what we're on. Let's install the firmware update. Would you like to update? I'd like to try. It's a 389 meg update. This is where they put the new game of the month on, or just push out new features or fixes, because sometimes you have to patch a cartridge, so I guess they may load those onto this, unless that's done on the fly. And there we have the problem. Just so you can see, I haven't paused this video, there's no tricks here. That is just frozen mid-update. My firewall isn't blocking it, it's just stopped. 102 meg. Let's try again. Yes, I'd like to try an update. This one might go further this time. And it stopped again. So we'll give it one more try, because you never know. Everything in gaming is best of 3, isn't it? 3 levels to the boss battle, 3 levels for everything. So let's try and update a third time. Right, we're updating, we're updating, we're updating, we're updating. And we've stopped. 106 meg. So that's Evercade for you. And just to show it's not just this unit, let's plug in the VSR and have a look at that. Right, we're all plugged in now. Let's dust it off a little. All plugged in. So let's turn on the VSR. Let's just turn it on, shall we? So yeah, let's just, yeah, this is like my experience when I first bought this. It's like, what's going on? What's going on? Then I worked out you got to do this. Then it comes on. Janky, janky. Eventually it comes on. Right, I've got 1 cartridge in there at the moment, and that's what you get. Let's slide another one in, shall we? So I'm going to slide it in there, and this is what happens. Woo, it still works. That's good. Because they'll probably stop making that cartridge soon. Right. So Very similar to the EXP. There's Wii games. You go into the verses, and that basically shows you the game of the month. That should be showing a different game, and then you get 10 hidden games on this one. And there they are. Quite easy to unlock. Just look it up on the internet. It's not difficult. You get a library, so you can see what games you've put in, and you can. So it's sent me 2753. That's just because I haven't put all my cartridges back in after I had to do a factory reset on this. But these are the newer games coming up. Actually, there should be more, but again, my firmware's out of date. And so there we are again. My firmware needs an update. Do I want to update? Let's update. Let's update. Now the EXP got to about 105 meg, 102 meg, changed each time. Let's see how far this one will go. 106. A little bit further. So back, install update. Now this is a console I have actually updated a few times. I've not had it that long, I've not used it that much. Slight buyer's remorse, to be honest, because I really haven't used it that much yet. Maybe I will one day. I was getting further this time, and 113. We'll try again. I'm not hitting like a data limit. I do have quite fast broadband. Maybe there's a buffer being filled that it is filling too much, too fast. But I've certainly not changed anything on my router. I don't see why my ISP would be blocking it. I'm not about to phone my ISP up and go, my computer games aren't working. They'll just send me back to Evercade. So as you can see, this is a VSR and the firmware will not update. I actually contacted them and said, is there a way I can update the firmware through a USB stick? And they came back and said that they asked me to do a factory reset on it, which I did, which obviously wipes any progress you have on here. It wipes all your unlocked games, it wipes all of your library that it's showing that you've got. And it's a bit of a pain in the ass having to do it all again, and surprise surprise, it didn't fix the problem. It didn't fix it at all. How I did the update on this last time, I had to turn my mobile phone into a hotspot. Yeah, I mean, I've tried this with taking the cartridges out as well, having those out. You're supposed to be just pull the cartridges out, by the way, but I don't. I never really have done. But they always tell you it's safe to pull the cartridge out as long as you quit the game, you're fine, and you're not saving to the cartridge. It's fine. It's like hot swappable. But they have added this feature, eject cart. Apparently, the eject cart makes it even safer to eject because it's safe anyway. So let's eject, and we'll eject both carts. That's exactly what it looks like now when I plug my Team 17 cartridge in. Right. No cartridge inserted. We'll leave the bonnet up and we'll try and update again. Just so we know it's not some weird cartridge issue. So it's not saying, oh, you can't update the firmware, so you might knacker the cartridges, so take them out and then run the firmware update. What is a bit concerning about this failing like this is there are occasionally firmware updates for cartridges. What happens if that fails halfway through the update process? That's your cartridge bricked. I think that was a bit of an issue prior anyway, and I think they've changed the way they do the updates. Like, it might keep a backup somewhere before it puts it on there. I mean, I think essentially these are probably just like USB sticks that have just been, they've just spread it out on a board and just made it a bit different, but essentially it's probably just a USB stick, where, because you can save to it and it can be overwritten, the cartridge. So I would say they probably are just remapped, redeveloped USB sticks. I could be wrong. And now all my games are back in. Shall I do a live test of my legacy cartridge just to see? I'm going to take out slot 1. So I've now taken out my Data East one. Let's take this out. And I am going to try this one. Dare I put it in? That's a valuable cartridge, that is. Well, it is at the moment. It might not be in a few seconds. Oh, and it's working. So I can play B52. This is the thing. These are the games that you are now no longer allowed to buy, because the publishers are so precious about their retro content. They won't allow Evercade, or Evercade don't want to pay, I'm assuming, increased licensing fees to play these games, or to let people play these games. I mean, we're not talking about graphical masterpieces here. We're not talking about games that anybody else in the world is actually looking to spend money on. I mean, who else out there is buying B52? I mean, I think there's a lot of these games like this are actually NES games, hence the graphics. Now, Codemasters don't want people to give them money anymore to buy this. Oh, I've got to choose a door. So I'm a B somewhere. Oh, that's me. Yeah, I'm a B. And this game is so precious to Codemasters that they won't allow Evercade to sell anymore. So this cartridge has had to become legacy, because they're not allowed to sell this amazing, amazing game here. I mean, look at the state of that. Yeah, you're not allowed to buy this anymore. People wanted to buy this, but you can't buy it anymore. They won't sell it to you. Basically, it's if you've ever seen South Park and watched the Cartman Land episode, where Cartman buys his own theme park but does an advert saying, "Here's my theme park, but you can't come." That's what legacy cartridges are. Here they are, everyone. These are part of the Evercade ecosystem, but you can't play them anymore. Or you might be able to play it, but not on your telly, because yeah, it doesn't actually let you do it. But that's Evercade. Here's Duke Nukem. Here's Duke Nukem. And what's happened there is this has just crashed. I don't know why it started doing this. Maybe this is a firmware issue. But as you can see, I've lost my signal. I don't know what other cartridges or games do this, but I do know with Duke Nukem on this VSR, when you first launch it, it crashes the console. So what you have to do, turn it off. Right, we're off. Turn it back on again. Turn it back on again. Oh no, we've got to hold the button down. Then it comes on. Now we're coming back to life. Maybe this is why they give you the manuals, so you've got something to read while you wait for your game to load. Right, we're back in now. We're nearly back in now. We're nearly back in now. And now, Duke Nukem will let me load, will let me play it. Duke kicks ass. He does when the game loads. Blaze actually remade these games, I believe. They remade them for the Evercade specifically, so this shouldn't ever really be unavailable, I'm guessing. Although this game's rarely ever in stock, because I guess it's in demand. Oh, it's actually just crashed again, look. So that's twice now. Twice on the bounce, it won't launch. Maybe I've had another cartridge die? Is this going to be a... Oh. There we go. There we go. This is Evercade. This is why I call it janky. We're going to try again and see if we can open an Evercade game on an Evercade. Third time lucky. I'm not even going to touch a button this time. I'm not going to try and skip it, accelerate it. There's Blaze. No signal. I think we might actually have a problem here. I'm going to take this out. I'm going to take this one out. I'll try it in the left slot on its own. Oh, wait a minute. Better blow on it first. I know that's only for Nintendo cartridges that are 30 years old but still work, not for Evercade cartridges that aren't even 13 months old. Right, we're in. We're going to turn it on. And I pushed it long enough this time. Evercade. Evercade. The unfortunate thing with the Duke Nukem 1 and 2 is it's only available on Evercade, unless you've got a really old PC, that is, because they've basically got the exclusive for it, so you won't be seeing this on Steam. Right, I've only got Duke Nukem in now. I'm using the official controller. Let's see what happens. Maybe I'm not allowed to use it on this size screen. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe Blaze have got a licensing agreement that says if you've got a 27-inch monitor with external speakers, you're not allowed to play it. Oh, there we go. And it worked that time. So we're in the left slot and we don't have another cartridge in. But I did blow on it. I did blow on it. Maybe it was because I blew on it.
Let's rock.
Oh yeah, the sound glitches as well. Now these are actually quite good games. The second one is really hard. They've done a really good job of making these, and when the game actually loads, they play really well. But this is quite tough. It's really tough to play with one hand as well. But I've just died. Oh dear, I've died. I'm going to die in a minute. There goes my health. There's very little health in this game as well, by the way. Duke Nukem 2 is quite punishing. Let's wait till I die. Actually, no, I won't. No, I won't. Right, let's show it reloading. I can load my last save instantly, and I'm back there. So if I fall down there and I've gone, oh no, I didn't want to fall down, I want to try again, I can load the last save. Or I can load a much earlier save if I want to. So yeah, I've got no problems with this actual game, other than the fact that it's quite difficult, but it's just this ecosystem that it runs on. This is what started me with Evercade, but my frustration that's meant I've barely used this at all is just using Evercade. The firmware doesn't update, the cartridges die, the sound glitches, and sometimes the games don't launch. The firmwares, it should be a good product, it could be a good product. The licensing is a pain in the ass. Yeah, it's quite difficult to actually enjoy using this when it can be a bit of a frustration getting anywhere. But that's Evercade. Right, we're back on this. Firmware not updating, but I've just made my phone a mobile hotspot and checked. I've actually got quite a bit of data left. So let's just get this done this time, shall we? Install. It's going to get there this time by the looks of it. And there we go. It just doesn't like my internet for some reason. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, we're updating. It doesn't normally take long to do this, to be fair. Halfway there. Oh, more. I think we may have just updated the firmware. I might even get a Blaze logo. Flashy light. Huh. Nope, it's gone back to not actually output into the screen. Don't worry, it'll wake up in a minute, I'm sure. Hear it? This is the problem I get with this one sometimes. Wakey wakey. This is why I always say Evercade. It's on. I'm pretty sure the firmware's updated, so let's turn it off and back on again, as I'm always telling people what to do before they bother me. Right, off. Back on again. I've already made this video like an hour long. I might as well add an extra 10 minutes to it just trying to update this. Oh, that's better. Never works first time, but it does eventually work. That's what we can say about Evercade. It gets there, but it needs help. And I've now got a new game of the month. Shame they'll probably update it with another game tomorrow. But for now, the VS is sorted. I have a firmware that's current. Now I've just got to do the VSR. We spent all this time trying to update it. I suppose I might as well at least load up Midnight Resistance. Let me turn off that light as well. And there we have it, Midnight Resistance. Didn't cost me much. Just a lot of aggravation. Oh. Yeah, I can't play it with one hand, but it works now. Right, it's now 1 minute past midnight. I swear I started this video about 14 hours ago and I don't even know where the day's gone. But we're going to finish this. This is the VSR. And that needs a firmware update. It's now on a mobile hotspot. Let's do it. We're going to get it this time, and we got there. We got there. Five, four, three, two, one. Come on, Blaze. We're updating. I think we might finally be done. Many, many, many hours later. But have we got the new bonus game? Finally. And we're done. That is me done. It's now 7 minutes past midnight. This video is over an hour long, and I think it's time I did something else today. So if you're still here, thanks for watching, and I probably won't be doing another video for a while. So this is the Evecade VSR, Evercade Versus, or whatever you want to call it. Came out last year, this version. It's like they've got various versions of these. They do collectible versions of these that you can't buy anymore. They do a special Duke Nukem one which sold out and they never re-released. There's other collectible versions. Like I say, it's almost like Evercade was built by eBay. I do sometimes wonder if it was built by eBay. See, complete your collection. They want you to buy a collection of cartridges. However, they are not all available to buy anymore. This one came with Tomb Raider. So, at least you do get some games, as long as the cartridge doesn't die. So, let's see what it looks like. Right, so you get the sleeve. Ready to play, like I say, nice packaging. They do a good job of the packaging. Packaging is important if you want to display it. Right. So it opens up like that. Obviously I've taken mine out, but that is an Evercade controller. Like an old, I guess, Master System type controller or something like that, but the buttons are the equivalent of the Xbox, and this controller actually identifies itself as an Xbox controller, as I discovered in my Spectrum video. I had a Spectrum in factory test mode, and I just tested various things, and you plug this into it, and yeah, this claims it is an Xbox controller. I guess that's the way of making it compatible, because pretty much every controller plugged into this works. So that's one good thing about Evercade. It works with PlayStation controllers, it works with Xbox controllers, and they actually pretend that theirs is actually an Xbox controller. So you got your D-pad. Just dropped my phone. You've got your D-pad, X, Y, A, B, and all those. No analogs. However, Evercade did release an update that let you use analog sticks, and there are some games that support it. So this is my PC kind of knockoff Xbox controller. Both of these kind of identify as an Xbox controller, but the Logitech one doesn't flat out lie and say it is a Microsoft one. The Evercade one actually says it's a Microsoft controller.